And we're joined now by Brian Brown, the president of the National Organization for Marriage, to give us a different perspective on the announcement from the White House yesterday. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Just to get started, we are not hearing much from congressional Republican leaders that this is an issue that they're really willing to jump in on. Yesterday, John Boehner was, of course, bringing it back to jobs and the fact that the White House was not focusing on that. Are you concerned that Republicans are not going to perhaps respond with force against the White House on this decision, that maybe they're just going to let this one slide?
Well, I expect the House to intervene in this case. This is clearly a case in which the executive branch has failed to live up to its duty to defend a law that was overwhelmingly passed with bipartisan support, signed by President Bill Clinton. And it's the job of the executive branch to defend this law. They've chosen to abdicate their role in that, and now it's up to Congress to intervene. So I do expect Congress to intervene. I expect the House to intervene, and I expect them to make the arguments that, to be frank, the Obama administration wasn't making even when it was technically defending the law. The mask is off. But the fact was that even when on paper DOJ was defending the law, it was essentially throwing the case. So now we'll get folks in there that actually want to defend the law.
Brent, how actually, first of all, how would that work for the House to intervene here, is number one. And number two, have you talked to leadership in the House, and have they given you any indication that they intend to do this?
Well, it's quite simple that either the House or the Senate can have a vote, and by a simple vote can vote to intervene in the case. Then it's up to the court to decide whether to grant intervention. The fact that Congress is asking to intervene, though, holds a lot of weight, and I would expect that the court, especially since there's no one now defending the law, would allow the intervention. We've been in a lot of discussions with leadership, with members of Congress, and look, they're looking at the case, they're making decisions as we speak, and I expect them to step in and defend the law. This is a law in which 31 states, whenever people have had the chance to vote on marriage, they voted to protect marriage as the union of a man and a woman. The people of this country know what marriage is, and they want it respected, and they want our constitutional government respected. They expect our laws to be defended, and unfortunately, the Obama administration has chosen not to do that.
Brian, you said that 31 states have voted against this, but you're seeing a trend in polling that shows the country's still split about 50-50, but there's been an increase in support for gay marriage. You also noted that this passed with bipartisan support. That was in 1996, of course, 15 years ago. How confident are you that if there was a similar vote now, that the votes would be there to pass similar legislation?
Oh, I'm quite confident. You're going to see a number of states moving forward to amend their state constitutions, states like Minnesota, Indiana, Pennsylvania, possibly North Carolina. And also in Maryland, while the legislature is trying to force through same-sex marriage, I have absolutely no doubt that the people will have a referendum. They have the right to do that in Maryland, and that the people of Maryland will reject same-sex marriage. There is this myth that's being put out. It's nothing more than a myth that same-sex marriage is inevitable. The fact is, if in states like California and states like Maine, which most recently protected marriage as the union of a man and a woman, vote to protect marriage, all of the states in this country, if people are given a free and fair vote, people will stand up to protect marriage.
Brian, we have like 2 seconds now, but do you think that this should be an issue in the 2012 campaign?
Oh, I think it's definitely an issue. The fact that the Obama administration has refused to live up to its duty, this should be an issue. This is about constitutional government, and it's a failure. It's a dereliction of duty.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be sure, obviously, to get back to you, too, as this issue works its way through the system. Karen Travers, we got ourselves a political battle.
It's going to be interesting. It depends on who the Republicans put up. This could be